Hello and welcome to the Friday wrap up here on Landy's Crypto Corner. Today is October 11th, 2024, and we're looking at Bitcoin as always, following up with where we left off on our Wednesday video. Bitcoin did pretty much close open right on a key level. I'll show that in just a moment, but first we're going to take a look at a chart that we haven't looked at in quite a long time. And for some of you, you may have seen this chart before, but for many of you may not have. I do have a lot of new followers these days. But in this case, I'll explain what's going on here. This is a monthly, weekly support and resistance chart. This is all based off of the prior cycle, that being the prior cycle bull run to bear run. And in this case, you can see down here where we have the orange box, this big one down here, where we have the June of 2021 monthly close there at 35,000 to the January of 22 38,500 monthly. See how Bitcoin on the daily played between the two monthly levels, closed above the January of 2022 level, and then started to knock up against the next big area here at the March of 2022 to August of 2021 monthly closing structural zones. Bitcoin even closed right on that August of 21 monthly. You'll see that we had in January, the spot ETF was launched on the 10th. We saw the high come in on the 11th. That is actually the area that was just hit on our lower low structure here from this wider structure. We had a big sell-off right to that monthly level that I've referenced before at 38,500. Nice move up, little pause right there again at the monthly level here at the March of 22 and August of 21 levels on the dailies. Got on top of it and then came up to the weekly just above there at $50,000. This was the monthly March of 2022 swing high. This was the bear market swing high at 48,240. You'll see that Bitcoin went and tagged it once, twice, and then got a close above it finally. And remember, it did wick through during the spot ETF run up. Got on top of it, closed above it, and then started to move on through, even back testing it with a nice doji there before it moved on to the big weekly structure at 50,800 to 51.8 or so. That's December of 21 to August of 21. These were the two major weekly swings. And then we had the September of 2021 weekly swing high at 53. So essentially 50 to 53. You've seen these levels before, by the way, just presented a little bit different with a little bit more refinement on some of the lower term timeframes. But you see how Bitcoin came up here and consolidated right on those two weeklies, spiked that $53,000, came back down, found support on the weekly closes from December of 21, found resistance there August of 21, and then just shot straight through. Didn't even bother to pause at the 58.8 to 61,350 level here, which is a big monthly zone. So this monthly zone is not just a monthly zone right here. This is actually the March of 2021 monthly is not just a monthly high, but a quarterly high at 58.8. Then we had the 61,350 closing monthly high from October of 2021. So later in the year, we had that higher high and a close. Obviously, we did not get a close above the $65,000 high, which was the April of 2021 swing high. So basically, that's our $65,000 high. And then we had $69,000 as the prior cycle all-time high. Now, one of the big things that I want to, and one of the main reasons why I'm pointing this out is because most recently, what did we see on the daily? Well, in the context of the chart that I typically show you, we were in between basically a level between 60,000 to 60,300 to the downside, and then 63.8 to the upside. I'm calling that the recover zone, right? Now, above there, I'm looking, at 64 to 65, which is essentially right here. You see how this area was resistance, right on towards the end of August. Now, we've seen the higher high structure, so we have our trending structure here. Just to kind of revisit things, we have our it's red, but this is our uptrending structure. And we even had a higher low here. And that was green. and then we can go to red from this. And then we had a lower low swing and close here. So this would be our downtrend. So we have a lower high, lower low on a swing. We also have a lower high close and a lower low close. This did close lower than this, but did not break below the wick. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. But what I want you to observe here is, Bitcoin set a nice low yesterday in the Friday candle closure. But one of the big things that I want to point out here as I move this red arrow out of the way is look at how we had the daily close back inside the October of 2021 monthly. And then we just had a ping pong day on Thursday where it just spiked the October of 21 monthly close and then right down to the March monthly and quarterly close at 58.8. So this was a big area, and I'm glad to see that the bulls at least staved off the bears in this area for now. They're not out of the woods yet, but it's better to get this nice closure like this than not, right? So you don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, as I've heard growing up. But either way, let's go ahead and turn on our next set of support and resistance zones. So this is the nice clean chart that I typically show you. Now, you'll note that I had previously shown you on Wednesday this here. Helps if I actually click the right things, right? All right, so I had mentioned coming into that Wednesday video on Monday that we had seen this rejection, and that was not what the bulls wanted to see. So be aware that if we lost essentially this high side structure over here at 61.8 to 62.8, then I was looking for Bitcoin to come down and test the bottom side of our recover zone here, which is at 60,263. I just kind of call it 60,000 and 60,300 because it will depend on your exchange. But if you're following Coinbase Spot like me, it should be 60,263. I had said on Monday, hey, we don't want to see closures below 59,825. Otherwise, we're going to see, if we haven't already seen it, we will see a move down towards this 58.4 level. Well, Bitcoin kind of did that all on the Thursday candle after we spoke on Wednesday, kind of coming into Thursday. I think it was starting to lose this area as I was talking in that video, but you'll see that it closed right on the 60,000, right on the 60,263 level or thereabouts, right? Thursday coming into Friday, perfect closures, and we did not see any closes below that 59,825. We did get a nice stab down below it towards that 58,400, but it was realistically right into that monthly quarterly level at 58.8, which is good to see. Now, the close open, near perfect there on the bottom side of the recover zone. So the next area that I was looking for price to head has essentially been hit, and I mentioned this in Wednesday's video, 61.8 to 62.8. We've seen that. We got a little bit of a front run above, or front run of rather 63.8 here with the high from Friday coming in at 63,415, 416 area. If Bitcoin can maintain closures, above 61, 7 to 8 right around here to 62.8 in this zone at this high, then I'd be looking for price to head on up to, Friday's high around that 63.4 to 63.8 at the top side of the recover zone. And then from there, bulls need to see closures above 64.5 or so. Above there, we need to see 65 taken out to this daily level at 65.5 to go test this higher high structure. The close is coming in just above there at 65,850 or so to the actual wick high here, or swing high at 66,550. Anywhere above there, I'm looking at 67,272 as normal. That's a big area I've shown many, many times. That's the first lower high of this downtrending structure here. Yes, there was lower highs here in the context of an uptrending structure. So first major lower high at 67,272 acted as short-term time frame resistance. Nice candle through it, and then support. Nice candles back through here. We saw the first lower high of the second major downtrend. And that, of course, is an area called run the highs, or how I've labeled it. Where did price try to sit before it lost that area? Right at 67,272 for 2 closures, right on it. And then down into the zone through 60 down to $65,000 even, which is that prior cycle first high. And then where did it reject? 67,272 before heading on down. So, above, this is an important area, 65.5 on the daily. Of course, it's got to get through the local high, 64.5. This high over here at 65 to go test 65.5. Then it's got to beat out this most recent higher high to go test that 67,272. And then we're looking 68.70, that second major downtrend high there, lower high from the second major downtrend, I should say. And then above there, 70.72, and then 72 right around that double top, and then from there to the all-time high and higher. Now to the downside, as long as Bitcoin's closing above 60,000 and 60,300, it's fine. But if it does start to lose it, eyes on 59,825, anywhere below there. Look to the low at 58,863 now, down to that 58.4. Any breakdowns below there, we still need to be aware of the low over here at 57.5. If we were to start seeing price trade below there, and especially close on a daily, then we're looking down towards that 55,850 and lower on any closures below there. Right down to the lows again, $53,000 to $54,000 right in here. I'm not, I see a lot of really bearish takes, and I'll be quite honest, I'm seeing people that I really, really respect in this space actually getting what I think is a little too excited for being bearish right now. Yes, I'm not a fan of closing a low on the weekly like this, or closing a low coming into the end of the traditional market trading week, right? Because we get lower liquidity on the weekends, so it is a little bit easier to move price, and or price just does nothing, right? And it just goes sideways, which I would actually prefer to see some continuation over the weekend. Again, I said this last weekend as well, right? I wanted to see continuation. We got a little bit of it, and then Monday it was just boom, down. Nice spike up and then down. But I would like to see some continuation towards the top side here, and some significant closures over the weekend. If it doesn't do that, then I would be looking for more compression on the daily. So, the structure right now is a downtrending structure, lower high, lower low, on not just the swing lower high and swing lower low, but also closing lower high, closing lower low. Now, in this case, this is coming off of a pretty sharp sell-off into a nice uptrend there, and then a trend reversal setup is still in play here. Now, what I will say is, if you start to see at minimum closures above the close open high here at 62.8, then, we're likely going to see 63.8 tested and higher, maybe to 64.5 at that swing high. We need to see closures above there if we're going to be bullish, right? 64.5, $65,000 or so. Otherwise, it's just kind of in a range, just stuck sideways, basically. Let's go ahead and throw on the Bollinger Bands here, just to gauge volatility. We talked about trend. We talked about support and resistance. Now let's look at volatility. Now, in the case of the daily, this is set up for a range. To the downside, again, right below around, in this case, 59,325. Now at the lower second, any closures below there that also meet the criteria of closing below 58,863, then we're probably looking down to 58.4 if it hasn't already tested that area, right, on a swing. Then we're looking for closures below there to actually get expansion down into this area for real. See the lower third is right around this low side structure at 57.5. And I'd be looking there, maybe price replace band if it does break down below 58.4. And then I'd be looking for a continuation down to 55,850 and lower as a possibility. Now, to the upside, I would like to see Bitcoin recover above the basis band here. That would be nice, even within the context of this range. That's just so happens to be 62.8 right here. Above there, we're looking at 63.8 to the upper first, which just so happens to come in line with this lower high swing at 50 or 64, 467, 64.5 or so. Above there, you can see 65.5 to the upper second, right around that 66 to 66.550 higher high. So if we did see closures above there, we're looking for expansion up into 67.272, then a price replace band on any closures above there, or even some wicks up to the upper third around 68 to 70 on expansion, and higher, quite frankly. I would be looking for things to go higher. All right. For the weekend, what have I continuously said? I've said that, we have let's go ahead and get rid of the mess that is all this support and resistance here. I've mentioned before that, quite a bit before, actually. Let's go ahead and let's move this guy down to my big monthly area here. Come on. There we go. We'll take this off here and we'll turn that off. Let's just go ahead and take a look at structure, right? So on a closing basis, we had the lower high close and swing at $65,000. Bitcoin has put in a higher high. If Bitcoin is going to do anything from here, what do I need to see that's going to be bullish? Well, we have a higher low swing, but we have a lower low close. Then that went up to trend break this $65,000 lower high, right? So it's only just a trend break. What do I need to see? I need to see a swing higher low as it relates to this 52.5 low, and or a closing higher low where, if it's going to be a swing, if it's anything like this, then, next week would have to close above 64, 467, 64.5 area. That would be a technical swing locked in. You would see most indicators indicate that this would also be a higher low close. I would still need to see closes above 65,600 to call that a higher low close if it were to happen next week, for instance. And then we need to see continuation past 66,550 in the lower term timeframes, and then closes above there on the weekly as well to go start testing the high side structure and higher. I do think that, the bulls have a chance here. This is a pretty indecisive candle coming into the end of the week. It closed fairly strong on the bounce there, but it's still, it's nothing too crazy, nothing too interesting right now. But you can see even on CME here, it has a chance. That doesn't mean that this is going to be the low right here for CME, or in this case, spot price. And just so you know, this current week's low again is going to be that 58,863. That's Thursday's low. So could that be the low this week? Sure. Very, very likely if the bulls can hold above 60K in the lower term timeframes, especially. Any lower term timeframes closing below 60K going to look like, this is going to get tested, for the weekend. But where would I like to see things close? It kind of doesn't matter this week as long as it just holds $60,000 realistically. Then we look to next week where we would want to see close above, 64, 467, 64.5 area. And then subsequently closes above, 65, 625, and then take out that 66,550. That would start to look good for the bulls. Otherwise this high is technically, the swing is in, I guess it's not even locked in. Closes back below. So this is something to be aware of over the weekend. Closes below 62,566 would paint this as not just a swing high at that 66,550, but also a closing high. But because we have a nice swing down, as long as it's holding the swing structure, it has the ability to put in a swing higher low and then possibly even a closing higher low. So looks good. for the bulls if they can maintain this area at $60,000. The weekly momentum indicator is showing upside into the edge of the bullish control zone. Closes above 55,118. So, just call it 55K. If price were to start heading down aggressively in that direction, it's going to be around 55,000. So closes above there on the weekly. We will see maintained upside on the weekly stochastic momentum indicator. Again, it's not a Stoch RSI. It's a regular Stoch, so it's measuring close over close price momentum, not the velocity of RSI. Let's take a look at RSI. We did have that confluence of Stoch turning up. We also had the break above the moving average on RSI here, and then we saw a back test of it. Essentially, as long as it's above there, looking good. The simple moving average is at 62,250 or so, 240, 250. So Bitcoin is kind of hanging around there and has touched off that area a little bit in the lower term time frames. So just be aware of where that is. Let's go ahead and look at the daily. Daily looks good, closed nice and above the simple moving average. We even maintained upside momentum. Had an initial cross down, then cross right back up for the stochastic momentum indicator. 61.5 is going to be the momentum pivot for the daily. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 12-hour. 12-hour is always good for kind of gauging what might be next on the daily. So let's go ahead and look at the Bollinger Band set. We see 12 hours pointed up with Stoch, 60,400. We see two nice strikes at the edge of the bearish control zone with bullish divergence there. Nice little pop up. Where is the bullish control zone? So we had the bearish control zone. Yeah, nice bullish divergence off of the bearish control zone there. Bullish control zone is going to be 64,629. So it's actually right around this lower high that needs to be taken out. So that would start to look good. We have a nice, kind of a range play up here with volatility, kind of remaining constant in terms of price volatility in the downtrend and the uptrend in terms of the spread of the bands. We had a little bit of a pinch and then a nice expansion down, mean reversion to the upper first, which is where you would want to see it reject anyway, then back down to retest the lows into compression again. So on the 12-hour, this is pretty simple. Closes below the lows in lower second. Right here, we're looking for this low from Thursday to get tested. Lower seconds coming in around 60,100. So again, let's go ahead and throw on our accumulation distribution zones, just basically daily level support and resistance. Admire how beautifully that close opened right on that. And just so you know, this is where we had these close opens over here. So we had the second big downtrend. We saw two nice spikes and closes right at that level before a spike up to the top side, 63.8, and then the big move down. But yeah, below 60,100 or so would put it below the recover zone here and the lower second standard deviation, indicating that we're going to see this low get tested around that 58,800 to 58.4 level. To the upside above the upper second, 63,440, 450 area, we're likely going to see, Bitcoin going and testing 63 to 64K, and then, this high at 64.5 or so. Any closes above there, we're looking for more aggressive expansion up to that 65.5 and higher to this high. So yeah, it looks good for the moment, but if the bulls don't take advantage of this nice compression and momentum shift in the lower term timeframes, it's tough to maintain that over a weekend. So we'll see how things go. Ugh, excuse me. Don't usually yawn on stream, but it's been a long week. And with that, I'm just going to say you have a wonderful weekend, everyone. My heart goes out to everybody that's been affected by the two major hurricanes to hit there in all of the southeastern states. I know I've got a lot of family and friends that were affected, and I have heard from many of you that you have been in the path of those. So I hope that you're all doing well. I wish you the best. And yeah, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening, no matter where you are in the world. Please trade safe. And of course, as always, stay safe. Have a great weekend. With all that being said, Landy out.